I'm sorry. I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness.
Dear brother.
They call themselves anonymous. They are hackers on steroids.
U.S. military forces can operate with impunity, overriding posse comitatus and granting the military the unchecked power to arrest.
That right there is a recruitment video from the hacktivist group Anonymous. Yesterday, the FBI brought the total number of arrested members from the group and its...
The passage of this law is nothing less than an outright declaration.
Anonymous and AnonSec have unleashed fury on a new entity.
Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression, and where once you had the freedom to think if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside one another. 1 year from November 5th, 2011, outside the gates of every courthouse of every city demanding my body.
Now, the hackers group Anonymous obviously likes to stay undercover, but our next guest says that he has been associated with them for years. He says he speaks for the organization and shares their views. Greg?
I got my start officially on a website called 4chan, and what that was it was an image board, and people gradually came to realize that it was a tool to organize things.
Yeah? So where are you starting from?
Yeah, it's not a march or anything like that. We know that obviously if you want to make a protest you have to agree, but we know it's not illegal as such to do that. If you do not ask for permission, it only becomes illegal if you cause harm, loss or distress, or something goes wrong.
Where have you been walking?
We've just come from a pillow fight in Trafalgar Square as it goes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anarchic. This is our space! A loose collective born on the internet. Anonymous has no official members and no hierarchy. But within the group, some individual Anons have greater standing, earned by their skills as hackers, video makers,
to see it with my own eyes and record it myself,
and increasingly street-level activists.
Show me what police say.
Troy, not his real name, is one of them.
This is what happens when the people have had enough. This is what happens when greed goes unchecked.
We also do some more severe things, though, once we start realizing the potential. If there's a CEO of a company who's cheating on his wife and who's also laundering money from all these other corporations doing greedy things, and we catch him, then we will hack his email and we will send it out to everyone. We will hack his website and we will do whatever the hell we want to it for lulz, but in the name of social justice. And this is where we get our criticism from, because people think that we do illegal things just for lulz, but really we're doing it in the name of protecting people and social justice. We do it in the name of civil disobedience. So when we're breaking laws, we do it ethically.
Dr. Small earned his Ph.D. in philosophy of law from the University of Kentucky in 2005. His areas of expertise are philosophy of law, international law, human rights, ethics, and modern philosophy.
With art forms. So performances, for example, can be ways in which you teach people, or they can be ways in which you show people how to carry out protest. But once they turn into spectacles, they simply become things that people gawk at but don't learn anything from.
The most recent things that I did personally was I hacked the PDS website, and I posted an article saying Tupac was spotted alive in New Zealand, and the page was taken down immediately, but there are tons of screen captures.
Greetings, friends. We are Anonymous.
We are Anonymous.
Anonymous likens...
I've had 7 different passwords and they've got them all so far. They attack innocent people like an internet hate machine.
Spectacles are harmful for society for many reasons. They don't allow us to use the media for teachable moments. It's misrepresent what the movement's about or misrepresent what actually happened. The story that's being told about a particular protest, the listeners might actually agree with the protest, but they wouldn't have a chance to do that if they are getting a misrepresentation of what happened. And so there's an element of deception going on. Now, whether or not that deception is intentional deception on the part of the media or not, I don't know. But it's certainly an element that's possible when you get into the practice of turning protest movements into spectacles.
Game modification with a popular program called Cheat Engine, where you could modify bytes and data within a game while it was running. HTML, PHP, JavaScript, Java, C++, and did minuscule works. OS thing is basically like a denial of service attack from multiple computers in which they all set up basically a packet spammer, and packet's like a little piece of data that gets shot through the internet. Retrieval of a person's information through the means of the internet and backtracing and whatnot. So anyone, like if you use MSN or Skype or something and you send them a file, your IP has to connect to Skype and then it has to send your IP to the other person. In that time, they can catch your IP.
Don't wait for your knight in shining armor to show up from DC. The bad news is he ain't coming. The good news is, it turns out you're the knight in shining armor.
However, they can't just randomly launch an attack. And in order to do it, you have to go on this IRC chat. Anyone can suggest a target. And that person then has to make a compelling case for the target, and then whoever happens to be, it's a quorum of whoever happens to be awake, can vote up or down on this target. So if somebody has not made a compelling enough case, enough people may pull their computers off of this voluntary botnet that the attack might not be nearly as effective. So it is, in fact, an amazing kind of Athenian.
Today arrested top members of the hacktivist group LulzSec. The FBI in New York filed charges against 5 people, and it was made possible by this man, 28-year-old Hector Xavier Monsegur. Monsegur pled guilty to being a former member of the hacktivist group and is now working with the FBI. In response, Anonymous today tweeted, "We are Legion. We do not have a leader, nor will we ever. LulzSec was a group, but Anonymous is a movement. Groups come and go, but ideas remain."
He got caught this summer. He gets caught. People don't realize that he was arrested, and it's then that he was turned.
Exactly. So he was arrested. He actually did vanish for a while off of Twitter and other networks, and then he returned. He had quite a bit of trust from a lot of people, and so in some ways his transition back was quite seamless.
No, I think journalists probably don't understand much of this, and they're doing the best they can. But I think it takes some technical skills that most journalists don't have to understand this stuff, so they do it in a shallow way. Now, I should say that readers prefer the shallow way too, but eventually there'll be more and more people who have the skills of hackers, and it'll become an ordinary skill, just like learning to read. But it's a generational thing and an educational thing. A lot of this stuff is taking place outside of formal schools of education. And these young people are teaching themselves, and they do have some older people working with them, but the best people are self-taught.
They're probably hoping that by arresting these, they may get somewhere else later down the line to somebody who's much more sophisticated.
Like technological advances in the next years, like we're getting tablets that can do anything a desktop computer can do and whatnot, and there's just so many new things coming out left and right that it's just enabling. I mean, it's just enabling more and more things with less regiment and guidelines, so it's just